All right, guys, I'm here today to talk about the meaning of life. And in a small, very narrow-minded point of view and perspective, the meaning of life is whatever you want it to be. Some people want to become the most amazing bodybuilder of all time. Other people want to be a scientist and discover the biggest discovery that they could possibly do. But if we want to really dive into what the real thing is, the real truth is that we come here to Earth to become finite. Basically, when we are not in a human vessel, we are unbound, we are boundless, we are free, we are connected to the global consciousness machine. So basically, we are everywhere all at once. There was a movie or something that came out that was pretty cool. Everywhere all at once, something like that. Anyway, basically, we are boundless, we are free, we are connected to everything at the same time. So there are certain lessons that you can't possibly learn as a being that is connected to everything all at once, to all information. So we come to Earth to become finite, to become bound to something such as our bodies, so that we're not connected to all the information all simultaneously, and we can actually learn things. So that is why we are here, which begs the question, and millions of other questions come up with that stem out from that perspective of now we are in a body which is similar to an advanced virtual reality headset, right? And the problem with our bodies is that the second we stop giving our bodies love, as in exercising, putting the right things into our body, and giving ourselves mental health by meditation and connecting back up to source, then our headset gets downgraded, right? And if you don't have a decent headset, let's say you have a Quest that you're running, but you're trying to run a simulation that is too complicated, then the headset needs more RAM. It needs possibly a better Snapdragon processing unit or whatever. And so now you see that this happens to us in our daily lives. If we have too much clutter, if we go hang out in a place where there's too many people and stuff like that, you start seeing the limitations of our headset, of our bodies. And suddenly the experience, especially for people who are hyper alert, people who are over empathetic, people who are just basically empaths in general, we struggle in situations where there are too many variables, too many things happening at the same time. Most people, the normies, the normal people, have brains that are somehow more detached. They're more like hyper focused, and so they do well in environments where there are many people's crowds and stuff like that. But some of us don't, and that's why we're able to pierce through the veil of our reality, and we can see beyond the headset that we are stuck within. So that's why you'll see some people understand what's going on beyond stuff, and some people, even some great people here in Irvine, some scientists in Irvine, have discovered that space-time is doomed. Space-time, the illusion of space-time is doomed, and that we need to be able to see beyond this. But anyway, as I said before, the meaning of life is whatever you want it to be. The magic of the place that we exist is that we create our own realities. And what does that mean? Because we are bound by physics, and we are bound by things that happen to us. You'll notice that if you take something and you hit your hand with it, you feel pain. All those things, those things do exist, but they're also somewhat created by our global consciousness. And the thing is that we are slaves of our brains, right? We are slaves of our brains And in this physical reality, because our brains are basically told and indoctrinated, and we've all agreed to a certain amount of rules and regulations and things, then our brains are bound by these rules and regulations and stuff. But if we think about as our planet as being a magical place, so if all of us suddenly decided to believe that, for instance, the presence of galactics or ETs was true, all of a sudden we would be able to see them. But the problem is that the powers that be and many other interests don't want us to be able to see certain things. For instance, the power of magic. Is magic real? To some it is, and to many it is not. The problem is that the majority of people believe that magic is not real. And so there's a problem. With more people, there are more problems. So basically, in further back in the past, magic was a thing. Why? There were less human beings overall on planet Earth, and in micro communities, more people believed that magic was a thing. So magic was a thing. Now, with globalism and stuff like that, if too many people believe that one thing does not exist, that thing does not exist. And so we have to be careful with that kind of thing, and the way that the world works, the way that this current, if we want to call this simulation, the way this simulation works is that many people need to subscribe to an idea, to subscribe to a concept, subscribe to a thing, and enough people subscribing to that thing then makes that thing the truth. So the key here is, what would happen, for instance, if we were to create a tribe that was somewhere else, not on planet Earth. Let's say we started a new civilization on Mars or something. And we taught, again, the problem is that our brains are already enslaved in the system. So for us to be able to free ourselves completely from our brain setup, our slave program that's running in our brains that we've been indoctrinated into, and blah, 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 it's almost impossible to do. Possibly with Neuralink, we could find a way to get over that. But generally speaking, you notice that kids are more able to do things than we are because they're blank slates. And once you get to a certain age, I think maybe it's 25 or beyond, then you're basically, what Elon Musk says, people don't change, they die. And part of the reason for that is our brains. Our brains is what governs what we are able to do here on planet Earth. And because although our consciousness is so much more powerful than our brain is, we interact with this reality through our brains, not our consciousness. And so there are certain limitations that are being placed upon us by the current reality that we live in. As I said before, there's a certain agreement of how the world works. And so if we can't pierce through that, we're unable to move past that. But in a civilization, for instance, if we were to, let's say, go to Mars, and as limited humans, we created new humans, and we gave the new humans a new set of rules and systems and stuff like that. For instance, we allowed our children going forward all to believe in magic and to believe in something that is beyond what exists here. If we gave our children the ability to believe that there are extraterrestrials or galactics and all that kind of stuff, we basically gave them more freedoms and different rules, for instance, that were more positive. For instance, we didn't tell them about racism. We didn't tell them about a lot of these things, and we just allowed them to create their own realities that are superior to what is going on here on planet Earth. I believe that they would be able to do things that we can't. For instance, they might be able to move a spoon with their mind, telekinesis, all that stuff. All these things that we cannot do, that we can do in movies, but we can't do in real life because we've come up with agreements that said, no, you can't do this.